This video I've been wanting to do for about a month now, and now that I actually have a little bit of time to actually film it, I feel like I myself have distanced a little bit from this subject because I've sort of gotten over it and thought about it more. But yes, I'm still going to make this, so I wanted to basically talk about vanity, envy, and hypocrisy. So I was like struggling, like this is sort of like a continuation of all of the thoughts that I had in both my this game we play video and the TMI tag video, just sort of my thoughts on beauty and how I kind of struggle with self-image and like kind of like the tale of my inner thoughts of overthinking about what I spend my time on and whatever. So yeah, at first I kind of thought, selfies are a really empowering thing. That's what I thought at first. I thought, and I still think that. It's just that I've learned over time that you have to take everything in moderation. You can't just go too extreme in one direction. So at that time before, when I thought selfies were like awesome and stuff, I took one basically maybe every day, even the days I didn't have makeup on or anything, just to sort of document myself like every day. And it also made me feel like I was loving myself, because when you take a picture and then you're like, oh, the fact that I did take a picture of myself means that I love myself, or like the way I look or something. And so I was like, yeah, this is great. But then this whole like empowering self-confidence feeling of selfie taking and like the selfie taking and then the empowering feeling afterwards started to fade, and I started to realize that taking too many selfies, or taking this amount of selfies like every single day, was like detrimental, because I was actually spending more time on looking at myself, basically. It's like as if you're looking at yourself in the mirror every single day. That's sort of what it's like. So it's kind of like, actually, in reality, you are focusing more on your looks and putting more time into it, which obviously it seems like, oh, well, that's that's obvious. But anyway, there I went. And so then I realized, okay, this is getting to the point of vanity, and where I am actually spending a lot of time on this, and it's not good for my mental health, because it's sort of like where you spend your time is kind of like, it exposes what your values are, and I didn't think that that was healthy. So then what I started to do was I started to First I took a break. So I took a break from taking selfies. I took no selfies for like 4 days or something, which seems like it's not a long time to take a break, but that's what I did. And then I got back into it, but then I was like, I'm gonna actually take the action of deleting photos of myself. So I started to delete every single photo of myself on my phone, not out of shame, not because I don't like how I look or because I hate myself or something like that. Not because of that. It was just that I didn't want to see that, like, first and foremost on my phone all the time. So I just deleted every picture of myself. And that was kind of like also an empowering thing. So I felt empowered to delete those photos and stuff, which was great. And so that's what I'm still doing. I still do that right now. I just delete all the photos. Because I still like to document like different makeup combinations that I wear on my face, or different clothing outfits that I put on. So I do still take photos to document, but then I'll just delete all the ones after. So that has been useful and an insightful experience. And then the whole thing about envy and hypocrisy is that, well, I guess it's hard to admit, but like, if you do spend a lot of time on social media, then yeah, you can see how you might get envious of other people because they post like the highlights of their life and whatever. And also as an actor, it's like a really tough struggle. So you see like a lot of people succeeding. I put it in quotation marks because, you know, no single success is going to guarantee like a career-long success. But that's what you kind of see, and then you don't really even think about all the people who are not succeeding. So it's hard to balance your viewpoint because you never really hear about those stories where people are failing, obviously, because they don't make it into the news. Like, no one reports like, well, I mean, I guess sometimes they report like, oh, Shailene Woodley like lost this part to Scarlett Johansson or something. But like, you don't hear about all of those like a million people who are rejected when they announce the casting of Mulan or something. You don't really hear all of those individual 1 million stories, you know? Yeah, so it's like kind of like this very skewed look where you see all that, and then you get this feeling of envy, but then you have to remember that everything happens at its own time, and that you want the roles that you get to be the ones that are meant for you. And, you know, the universe will work itself out and give you those parts, and then give other people the parts that are meant for them, you know? Not everything is going to be suited for you. Speaking of which, I'm going to be in a UBC student film. It's going to film in a few weeks. So I'm really excited about that. I would personally call it like an eco-feminist film. That's how it strikes me most, and it really lines up with my beliefs also, because I'm a vegan and also a feminist. So I'm definitely really nervous actually for that, because I want to be able to do it justice. And as an actor, it's always kind of on your mind that it is someone else's story, like the writer or the director's story or their vision, that you're trying to execute and bring to life in the way that they want. So it's kind of this pressure, you know. So I just want to be able to do it the best that I can. I'm sorry that these, well, actually I'm not sorry, but I'm just saying that these videos that I make sometimes are not the most fun to watch, because they're just me, like, saying very disorganized thoughts over here. But, I can promise you, I think my next one will be, like, maybe something like how I dress, or, like, how I style myself, or, something more lighthearted. Or if you guys have any ideas, I'll take them into consideration. But yeah. So on the hypocrisy topic, I was thinking, you know, I was taking anthropology class with an amazing anthropologist professor named Wade Davis. He's an anthropologist, obviously. And so he kind of we did like one lecture, he did one lecture on like Western beauty standards and beauty within Western culture, and how, well, just not just Western, but just like, I guess, like this globalized culture of like like including Eastern, like, I mean, it's kind of like within the first world kind of idea of beauty standards, and kind of how detrimental it is, obviously, to young girls, because there's this really narrow image of beauty that's perpetuated, that most people are not born with, you know, having this ideal face and body that is pushed by the media and pushed by people and society. And he told a story about how he had a personal experience with his daughter having an eating disorder, and also how he talked about how he's also against plastic surgery. And I might have mentioned it in my TMI tag that I'm also against plastic surgery, but it's not that I think people who have already gotten plastic surgery should be body shamed for having already had plastic surgery or anything like that. I just think that plastic surgery, when it's like a cosmetic procedure, it's, you know, instead of like to reform something, or if you like lose a breast to cancer, like, you know, it's not like in those cases, but I mean just in cases of like enhancing for cosmetic purposes, basically. I think that, you know, where you spend your money on is also a symbol of what you value, and if you spend money on something that exterior, it kind of reinforces this value of outer beauty, which it's kind of harmful to do to yourself. And not just that, but there's actually no way to get plastic surgery in this context for yourself. Like, people say, oh yeah, I put on makeup for myself, and that makes sense because makeup, you take it off, and there's lots of different colors, and you change your makeup every day. It's not like some fixed thing. But plastic surgery is a permanent, fixed change that you are enforcing upon yourself, I guess. Like, perfectly healthy, functioning body parts are getting broken or like reshaped for actually, yeah, you can't just like, it's not for yourself. It's like a bunch of pain. And yeah, not all surgery is going to be painful. Like, I guess I do include like lip injections and Botox into this framework, even though it's not surgery. But I include those because it's like this thing where you're injecting these like poisonous chemicals or whatever that is made out of, and it's not necessary for you to live or survive. And it just doesn't make sense if you say that you're doing plastic surgery for yourself, because like, if you were born into a culture or a society that perhaps where the ideal body type was like cup size AA, then would you be getting a boob job then? No, because that would be nonsensical. So the things that you want to fix, you only think they need fixing because of this pervasive societal beauty standard. Do you know what I mean? Like, I hope I'm making sense. Like, if big eyes were not a desirable trait, then people would not be getting double eyelid surgery or whatever they are getting. And if dimples were not like a desired trait, people would not be getting dimple surgery. Because all of this is just influenced from the outer society into your head. From as young as age 3, you start to, learn that these things are desired, and then these things are not desired. These things are pretty to look at, and then these things are not, which it's completely made up, There's no reason why that should be pretty and this should be not. It's just how our society happened to work out. And obviously, like, society changes too. So it's like, yeah, like in classical silent era Hollywood, people loved dainty, thin lips, the little dainty, really thin, like kind of like bow-shaped, heart-shaped, tiny, thin lips were very desired in white American society during the silent film era. And now we have the Bratz doll lips, So anyway, it changes. And yeah, basically there's like no reason why you need to change your perfectly fine functioning lip shape to fit this, imaginary idea. But I understand because there's this huge pressure. So I guess that's what my thoughts are coming from when I say that I'm against plastic surgery. It's because it's perpetuating this norm. Like when people say, oh, just let them do plastic surgery, it's not hurting anyone. Well, actually, it is hurting someone. All the young girls who have eating disorders, all the young girls who want to save money for their nose job or whatever it might be, it is hurting people. It's hurting people's self-image or whatever, and like it's also reinforcing and perpetuating this really narrow idea of beauty, which we should have like diverse beauty on the media. We shouldn't just have everyone look the same with everyone having small noses and like the same face shape. That's boring. Yeah, we should not have that. Anyway, especially if you are a celebrity. Like if you're a Korean K-pop celebrity or like you're a Hollywood celebrity, it's the same either way. You are not just influencing people with your style choices, but also the body parts that make up your body. Because that's what people are looking up to. That's what they're seeing. That's what they want to emulate. So when you get all those surgeries, you're kind of like renouncing this, like your former nose shape. You're saying that former nose shape that you had, that you were born with, is not good enough, and that your new nose is what's good enough, and that's what people need to get in order to be good enough. It's just this like subconscious message that you are selling to the world and young girls especially. And I don't want to blame people. It's not really the fault of people who have gotten plastic surgery, because they are also victims of our society. So yes, but I am just saying that there is that subconscious message, and it's not just like, oh, you're not harming anyone. You know what I mean? Because you're perpetuating. I'm not like saying this as like a specific you, but like just like a general you of like, this idea of like popularizing certain traits. So yes, that's the spiel on that. And the whole hypocrisy thing was that because, if you do look at my past videos, you might notice that my changes, I have changed my looks too. So like I didn't start using double eyelid tape until like a year ago. So I felt a lot of guilt over that these past few days, because I felt like, oh, I'm basically doing the same thing that I preach people to not do, because I'm kind of changing my eye shape. But Yeah, so eyelid tape you can just buy at like a dollar store, or you could just use regular tape. And the thing about eyelid tape is that it's not something that, it's not like you're achieving something that your eyes cannot do by themselves. It's kind of like you're helping your eyes along. Okay, this may not make any sense to you, but it's kind of like a parallel. It's kind of like the same thing as losing weight, because, okay, this is how I rationalized it in my head. Tell me if this is insane, but it's kind of like losing weight. Like, obviously, some people tend to be overweight, maybe because of diabetes or some other thing that runs in their family. And so obviously it takes work. It takes effort to lose weight and to become that ideal weight or the ideal thinness of society that society projects. And so if you want to fit into that mold, then you gotta, like, you know, keep an eye on your diet and actually go exercise and do all those things to maintain a figure that you want, or to get that figure that you want, get that shape that you want. So the same thing goes for me for eyelid tape, because like my eyes can naturally be double, or like, okay, so I have monolids, but I have a crease. So like if I get different amounts of sleep at night without using eyelid tape at all, or like before I started using eyelid tape at all, my eyelid shape or my eyes shape would change by itself. So what I'm doing with eyelid tape is kind of like not making it so inconsistent anymore, and to keep them the shape that I prefer, or that society prefers, because yeah, you know. So it's kind of like dieting or something, in the fact that my eyes can also naturally do this without me forcing it, but they tend not to, because I have like asymmetrical eyes. Like I have a lazy eyelid on one eye, so they tend to not do what I prefer. So that's why I help it along with eyelid tape. So I just put it on sometimes at night, maybe every 2 days or something. Yeah, so I felt really guilty about that, because I was like, oh, that's exactly the same as getting plastic surgery. In my mind, it was exactly the same. It was like, sorry, my camera cut out because like I can only record for 20 minutes at a time. Yeah, so in my mind, it was like exactly the same as plastic surgery, and I was basically betraying my higher morals and being a hypocrite. So that was the topic of hypocrisy just now that I'm talking about. Yeah, so I don't know. Complicated stuff that goes in my head. Hey, that's why this is called Ways to Overthink, because I overthink, and you know, I hate even editing photos of myself. I hate getting headshots retouched, and sometimes I don't. Like, all the pictures on my Instagram are not, if they're like selfies that I did, then they're not retouched or edited or at all. But because sometimes I feel like even editing things is sort of perpetuating something dumb. Like, not something dumb, but like perpetuating this like whole thing that I don't want to perpetuate. Yeah. So those are kind of my thoughts, and I've sort of, I mean, I still feel like a hypocrite. Obviously, I am one. Everyone is hypocritical, but I still feel like that. No. I guess I can only do so much. I don't know. I just need to like love myself and forgive myself for the ways that I do fall into the traps of this whole perpetuation of beauty standards notion. And yeah, okay, I know this is like really, really deep and really confusing probably for all of you, but that's all. This is what I wanted to say in this video. So there you go. take it or leave it, you know. Yes, and then in the next video, I'll probably do like something way more fun. Hopefully, maybe. Yeah. And I also kind of wanted to not wear makeup for this video because I thought it was like, it was like good for this video to not wear makeup because it's like, you know what I'm saying. My head's not working straight right now. But then I thought, you know, sometimes people don't really view videos that where I'm not wearing makeup, or at least I noticed that it has less views. Like I did one video that had less views and I was not wearing makeup in that. So it's like also tied to this whole thing of selling something. Selling something is like people gravitate towards the prettier, and so that's also another justification for those celebrities because they're doing it for their career and they're doing it to be more successful. Obviously, I don't really. It's not like it's like a double-edged sword sort of justification because that's kind of selfish. If you're doing that just for your career but it's also kind of like just playing the game that's been set out for you. It's like, if you want success, then you gotta play this game. And, or, you know, adhere to this, conform to this standard. And, yeah, so it's like a double-edged sword because you're, I don't know how to explain this. But yes, okay, I will go now. Whew, this is a long video.